A short while back, Christopher Luxon said New Zealand has lost its mojo. I think he's right, but the question is why? Well, I think there are multiple things that have happened. First is the property market and interest rates. All those people with debt up to their eyeballs having to find another two, three, maybe even $400 a week out of nowhere to cover the price of hiring money, basically. That's nasty. Who can afford that without a huge modification to their lifestyle and even a threat to losing their home? Not too many people. Especially when they're waking up to the fact that property prices really can't go on increasing forever and ever. It's an absurdity, but that's what the country believed, and we're starting to wake up to the hard truth that people can't just borrow more and more money forever. So to allow prices to inflate forever. So there's that. The other thing is what are probably vaccine injuries going through the roof. Everybody knows someone who's dying of a heart attack, is developing weird clots, all sorts of problems like that. And turbo cancers, breast cancers going crazy, all sorts of things like that. That's depressing. So there's all that sort of stuff, along with so many people watching their businesses collapse, all those small business owners, due to Jacinda Ardern's unchallenged lockdowns, etc. And all of this is just putting a huge load on so many people, and people who are trying to bring up kids at the same time, which just quadruples the stress. Plenty of reasons for this country to lose its mojo, especially as Australia looks, in proportional terms, ever more attractive. Get ready to kiss your kids goodbye forever. You might be able to visit them online, because for younger people especially, New Zealand has just become a strikingly bad choice to build a life in, for the young, that is. But aside from all of that, there is another great dark realization that New Zealand has come under. And that is a bug equitable to the seasonal flu. And we know for a fact that COVID was equal to the seasonal flu. In September 21, we had 26 dead old people, about average age 81 and 82, with major comorbidities. Out of 2,500 known cases, could have been 10 or 100 times more than that. That's unknown. No pandemic. It's only a pandemic if you decide to call it a pandemic for a bug which is equitable to the seasonal flu. Arguably not even that. That was all it took for our government to expose itself as the tyrannical machine that it really is. They forced the lockdowns, mandated vaccinations, played all sorts of dirty tricks, owned the media, threatened doctors for speaking out, everything that you can imagine in a classical sort of a tyranny. And what's really creepy is not that they did it, but that they had the power to do it. That is the great realization. They had the power to do it with virtually no institutional resistance on a bug that we knew was equitable to the seasonal flu by late 2021. Now that is incredibly creepy. It means that the only reason why we think we're not living under a tyranny right now is because it's not flexing its muscles. What we saw was our government flexing its muscles successfully. So now we have this deep feeling in the country, what the hell are these guys going to do next? And it's a really, really serious question, because they have the power to do God knows what next. Now that is what New Zealand needs to wake up to. Our government has demonstrated that it has tyrannical power. That is not the way it's supposed to be in any healthy democracy. Jacinda Ardern proved to us that we do not have a healthy democracy. Not even slightly. I always knew that, many did. I mean, the very fact that our Bill of Rights is non-binding, which is a sick joke in any country, is alarming in itself. But regardless, this is where the problem really is. We actually need to wake up to the fact of what's happened and say to ourselves, we need a second revolution. We need a revolution in the sense that we limit the powers of government and build the right systems in place so that a false pandemic can never be called in again. And I say false pandemic because it was clearly a false pandemic. Don't tell me I'm wrong on that, please, because the statistics, the death statistics were very, very clear. Okay? That's not open to debate. The revolution we really need is to start to build our country more in the structure of Switzerland with heavy decentralization. People need to say to themselves, hey, I'm living in this city of 20,000 people. We're doing all okay. We're all taking care of each other pretty well. Why is central government choosing what our minimum wage should be when we could make that our own decision locally? What's it got to do with them? Why are they controlling all our building codes or etc. on all different levels? Why are these what could be local decisions being made by central government? These people are no better than us. They're certainly more corruptible. The bigger the government, no doubt about it, the more corruptible it is because it's detached from the people and detached from people's engaged oversight. That's the questions people need to start asking themselves, and we need to start pushing for a decentralization movement. Very, very sadly, we have not got that yet. That kind of revolutionary, if that's the right word for it, the revolutionary thinking, which is what we need, you won't get it from Winston Peters, who talks like an angry school teacher, but at the end of the day is a little bit gutless when it comes to real stuff. I mean, the only reason why he's doing as he's told with the freedom movement at the moment on certain levels is because the pressure is so heavily on him. And you certainly won't get it from David Seymour, who's basically a weak little schoolboy with some pretty ideologies relating to libertarianism. These guys are just players. They're deeply apathetic, and they are professional politicians. We're not yet voting for someone who's got the revolutionary backbone that we need. We need big-time constitutional reform. And if we can get that constitutional reform cranking, if we can start waking people up to that, we can bring New Zealand back to the people and make people feel confident that we haven't got this dirty, tyrannical monster just waiting to rear its ugly head when and as it sees fit at its own discretion. Because that should not exist in a democracy, but it does. Just remember, the monster is still there, and it can call on us, produce another pandemic whenever it wants, by its own definition, just by calling a new, slightly unusual bug that's spreading a pandemic. And if we want to feel confident that we're going to have our core freedoms, we have got to have reform. If we can't say to ourselves, after whatever reforms we choose, it will never happen again because the architecture is in place to ensure it doesn't happen again, then we have failed. Because it's going to happen again, and we need to build the systems that will make sure it doesn't happen again. We need a revolution. We need a political party with a focus on revolution. So far, there's nothing in Parliament right now through the National Party, New Zealand First or ACT that is moving in that direction. And that is where we need to go. That's also why I have a lot of faith in New Zealand Loyal, because they're the most likely to move in that direction. But they're not focusing, in my view, not yet. I mean, it's extremely early days sort of a party, so I don't want to get too judgmental on them, but they don't seem to be focusing aggressively and more singularly in that direction just yet. Maybe some other party will do it, or maybe New Zealand Loyal will develop to do it. I'm not sure. But again, that's what we need. If we want to get our mojo back, we need to bloody put this central government of ours in its place. We need to impetize it. It should probably be about 1/10 of the size that it is right now. Virtually everything should be localized. Because when you've got a small central government, everything becomes easy, and this kind of tyrannical control becomes almost impossible. And that's what we want. That will be a great step one for New Zealand to get its damn mojo back. Thank you.